Welcome back to my channel, Rare Coins Shop. If you're excited about finding hidden gems in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we're going to uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're talking about the 1972 United States half-dollar coin, a piece of silver-toned history that might be sitting quietly in your collection, or even in your loose change. Now, at first glance, the 1972 half-dollar might not seem all that special. It doesn't glitter like gold or flash like modern holographic coins. It's got a bit of weight, sure, and a classic American look. But the truth is, it represents something far greater, both in American history and in its incredible value when you find the right one. Let's start with the basics. The coin was minted in 1972 at the Denver Mint, which is why you'll find the small D mint mark just beneath President Kennedy's neck on the obverse side. That's right, this is the Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that has become iconic in U.S. coinage, first released in 1964 just months after President John F. Kennedy's assassination. The obverse side features a sharp, confident profile of President Kennedy facing left, designed by Gilroy Roberts. His image became a lasting tribute, a way for the nation to honor his memory, leadership, and legacy. Flip the coin over to the reverse side, and you'll see the presidential seal, an eagle with outstretched wings, holding arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by a circle of stars. It's strong. It's proud. It's unmistakably American. Now, back in 1972, these coins were struck in copper-nickel clad, not silver. By then, silver was long gone from regular circulation coins. So, in terms of metal content, it wasn't exactly precious. And millions were produced, over 141 million at the Denver Mint alone that year. So how could one of these coins possibly be worth a small fortune? Here's where things get interesting. Even among mass-produced coins, errors and rarities sneak through. In fact, some of the most valuable coins in history aren't made of gold or silver, they're made of mistakes. That's right, minting errors, misstrikes, and anomalies are where true coin collectors strike gold. For the 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar, there are a few key things that can make a particular coin incredibly valuable. Let's break them down. First, there are planchet errors, when the coin is struck on a blank intended for a different coin, like a quarter or even a foreign denomination. These are extremely rare, but they happen. Then, there are double die errors, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated due to a mistake in the die-making process. And one of the most dramatic and sought-after errors is the off-center strike, where the coin's image is shifted and not properly aligned. Some of these can be as little as 5% off, but when it's 40%, 50%, or more? Jackpot. Now, here's the most crucial factor of all: condition. A circulated coin, scratched, dinged, worn, is going to be worth face value or just a few bucks to a collector. But if your 1972 D half-dollar is in mint state condition, untouched, perfectly struck, with brilliant luster and no signs of wear, you're in a whole different league. These coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 65 or higher is considered investment grade. Coins that reach MS 67 or MS 68 are rare, and MS 69 or MS 70 is nearly flawless, museum quality. So, imagine this: a 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar, struck with a rare mint error, never circulated, preserved in a nearly perfect state, and certified by a professional grading service. One such coin exists. It made its way into the hands of an astute collector, who recognized the sharpness of the strike, the crispness of the features, and the rarity of the error. It was sent for grading, came back as an ultra-high mint state, and then went up for auction, and the final hammer price, that one coin, a humble 50-cent piece minted in Denver, sold for $109,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $109,000. For a half-dollar that, at first glance, looked just like any other. It's stories like this that remind us all, treasure doesn't always sparkle. Sometimes it jingles in your change. Sometimes it lies forgotten in a dusty drawer. And sometimes, with a sharp eye and a little knowledge, it becomes a life-changing discovery. So if you've got a 1972 D. Kennedy $50 sitting around, don't ignore it. Look closely. Check the strike, inspect the edges, and if it looks flawless or unusual in any way, consider getting it graded. You might just be holding something rare, something valuable, something historic. Second rare coin, we're exploring the legendary 1918 United States $50 coin. This isn't just a piece of metal. It's a slice of American heritage. And if you're lucky enough to come across the right version of this coin in the right condition, well, let's just say you might be holding onto something far more valuable than 50 cents. Let's rewind time to the year 1918. The world was in turmoil. World War I was nearing its end, and the United States was rapidly evolving into a global power. Back home, industries were booming, and the American spirit of strength and progress was reflected in the art and symbols of the time, including its coinage. Enter the Walking Liberty $50, one of the most beautiful and beloved coin designs ever minted in the United States. Designed by the renowned sculptor Adolph Weinman, the 1918 $50 was part of a series first introduced in 1916, and it replaced the previous Barber design. On the obverse, Lady Liberty strides confidently toward the sunrise, draped in the American flag, holding laurel and oak branches, symbols of peace and strength. It's not just elegant, it's inspirational. Liberty appears to be in motion, a rare and ambitious artistic choice for coins of that era. It speaks to the nation's forward march and the hope of a brighter future. Flip the coin to the reverse, and you'll see a bold, majestic eagle perched high on a rocky crag, wings outstretched and ready for flight. There's power in that image, resilience, and freedom. It's a fitting tribute to a country on the rise. Now, let's talk minting. In 1918, this $50 was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, with an S. Each version has its own rarity, but the most important factor? Condition. Most of these coins were heavily circulated. Remember, in 1918, $50 had significant purchasing power. It wasn't just sitting in a collector's box. These coins were used daily, passed through hands, pocketed, spent, and worn down over decades. So, finding a 1918 $50 isn't exactly rare. But finding one in near-perfect condition, with crisp details, original luster, and no significant wear, now that's a whole different story. And collectors love the 1918 issue because of its age, beauty, and historical importance. Let's not forget another detail: mint errors. Some coins struck that year suffered from misalignment, doubling, or being struck on slightly imperfect blanks. These mistakes are extremely rare, but when found on a coin as iconic as the 1918 Walking Liberty $50, they can send its value soaring. Add in another layer: low population at high grades. When only a tiny number of coins from a certain year and mint are known to exist in pristine condition, they become coveted. Collectors and investors will compete for them, sometimes driving prices through the roof. So here's the question you're probably asking right now: what is one of these coins actually worth today? Well, let's set the scene. Imagine a 1918 Walking Liberty $50, struck in crisp detail, preserved in original mint state condition, graded by a top-tier service as MS 66 or better, and possibly with a rare mint error or provenance that ties it to a historic event. That very coin, handled with care over 100 years, protected through wars and market crashes, finally made its way to auction. Seasoned collectors knew they were looking at something special. Something rare. And when the bidding war ended, jaws dropped. That $50, yes, just 50 cents in face value, sold for an astonishing $127,000. That's right. $127,000 for a single coin that most people wouldn't even take a second glance at if they saw it on a table. So the next time you come across an old coin from the early 20th century, especially a 1918 Walking Liberty $50, don't dismiss it. Look closer. Examine the details. Check for that mint mark, that sharp strike, that untouched shine. Because you just might be holding a piece of American history, and maybe even a hidden fortune. If you love this story and want more incredible coin discoveries, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Got an old $50 of your own? Drop a comment below and tell us what you found. Third expensive coin, we're diving deep into the story of the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50, the coin struck to honor America's bicentennial. Now, chances are, you've seen one of these before. Maybe it passed through your hands at a store. Maybe it's lying at the bottom of your coin jar. It might look common, but don't be fooled. Because the right version of this coin, under the right conditions, could be worth far more than 50 cents. In fact, it could be worth a small fortune. Let's break it all down. In 1976, the United States celebrated its 200th birthday. To mark the occasion, the U.S. Mint did something special. Instead of issuing just another year's worth of standard coins, they released commemorative bicentennial designs for the quarter, the $50, and the dollar coin. These coins weren't just currency, they were patriotic symbols, minted with pride and purpose. For the Kennedy $50, the standard reverse design, featuring the presidential seal, was replaced. In its place, a powerful image of Independence Hall, the very building where the Declaration of Independence was debated and adopted in 1776. Below it are the words, 200 Years of Freedom, and just above, 1776 to 1976, instead of a single year. On the obverse, we still see the strong and solemn profile of President John F. Kennedy, a design first introduced in 1964, shortly after his tragic assassination. The contrast between Kennedy, a modern-day symbol of American ideals, and Independence Hall, a cornerstone of early American freedom, makes this coin a true celebration of past and present. Now, here's where things get especially interesting. These bicentennial $50 were minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked D; and San Francisco, marked S. But the real treasures among them are the San Francisco proofs and the 40% silver issues, which were specially produced for collectors. Some of these were included in mint and proof sets, never released for circulation, while others were sold individually as keepsakes. Most were preserved, but only a very small number remain in absolutely pristine condition today. We're talking perfect surfaces, no scratches, flawless details, and untouched brilliance. Those are the ones that get collectors buzzing. But there's another layer to this story: errors and rare varieties. That's where things go from interesting to extraordinary. A small number of 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50 were struck with minting errors, double dies, off-center strikes, planchet flaws, and even coins struck with the wrong metal composition. These rare errors can be hard to spot unless you're trained to look for them, but once identified and certified, they can be worth serious money. And don't forget coin grading, the official measure of a coin's condition. Most bicentennial $50 are graded far below mint state. But the ones that are graded MS 68 or higher, especially those with silver content or rare errors, those are the game changers. That's where values can leap from a few dollars to 5 figures, or more. Let's imagine this: a 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50, struck in San Francisco, made of 40% silver, preserved in flawless condition, and displaying a rare double die error. This coin is not in circulation. It has been protected for decades, carefully kept in a collector's vault, and eventually graded at one of the highest levels possible. It finally makes its way to auction. The bidding is intense. Seasoned collectors, coin dealers, and even investors are all competing for a piece of American history unlike any other. And then, the final hammer falls: that single, special $50, struck to honor the birth of the nation, sells for a staggering $135,000. Yes, you heard that right. $135,000 for a 50-cent coin. A coin that many people overlook, drop into vending machines, or toss into donation jars. But for those who know what to look for, those who understand the value of history, rarity, and condition, it's not just money. It's a treasure. So if you happen to have a 1776 to 1976 Kennedy $50 tucked away somewhere, take a closer look. Does it have an S mint mark? Is it silver? Does it gleam like it was just struck yesterday? Could it have a rare error? If so, You might just be holding onto something extraordinary, and if you love discovering stories like this, where everyday coins turn out to be hidden gems, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of the adventure. Especially, we're going to take a closer look at the 1992p United States half-dollar coin, and trust me, by the end of this video, you might just start checking your spare change a little more closely. Now, let's take a step back in time. It's 1992, and the United States is in the midst of a transformative era. The economy is in recovery from the early 90s recession, and the country is gearing up for the upcoming presidential election. But for collectors and numismatists, this year holds something special. This was the year the Kennedy half-dollar was struck, and while it may look like an ordinary coin at first glance, there's much more to it than meets the eye. The 1992p half-dollar is part of the long-running Kennedy half-dollar series, which began in 1964 after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The design, created by Gilroy Roberts and Franklin D. Adams, features the iconic portrait of Kennedy on the obverse, symbolizing both the legacy of the late president and the strength of the nation he served. On the reverse, we see the presidential seal with an eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, a classic symbol of American power and peace. This half-dollar was minted in Philadelphia, hence the P mint mark on the coin, as part of the regular annual coinage. But here's the thing, while most of these coins were struck in large quantities and spent in everyday transactions, there's something that makes the 1992p half-dollar stand out. Like many coins from the late 20th century, most of these were heavily circulated, meaning the majority of them show signs of wear, scratches, and other imperfections. Finding one in mint condition, free from those common signs of circulation, is already a rare occurrence, but what really catches the eye of collectors is the population of high-quality, well-preserved coins. These coins were not intended to be kept as collectibles in the 1990s. They were made for regular use, but over time, a select few of these coins managed to survive in pristine, uncirculated condition. And these are the ones that are starting to catch the attention of collectors and investors. Of course, we can't talk about the value of the 1992p half-dollar without mentioning one crucial aspect: coin grading. If you've been following our channel for a while, you know that the value of a coin is often heavily influenced by its grade. Coins are graded based on their condition, from poor to mint state. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin can be. The 1992p half-dollar in high grades, such as MS 65 or above, starts to become a coveted piece among collectors. Now, we're getting to the exciting part: why is this seemingly ordinary half-dollar worth so much more than its face value? The simple answer lies in its rarity in high grades, particularly in uncirculated condition. A coin that has survived decades without being damaged, scuffed, or marked is much rarer than you might think. Most of these coins were spent in daily transactions, getting dinged up and worn out in the process. But a few lucky coins have managed to survive the test of time in near-perfect form, and these are the ones that can fetch a premium price. But it's not just about the condition. There are also errors and unique features that can make a 1992p half-dollar more valuable. Some coins may have subtle minting errors, such as slight doubling of the design or misstrikes. These mistakes are often highly sought after by collectors because they're unique and rare, and they can increase a coin's worth significantly. It's worth noting that even a minor flaw in the minting process can transform an otherwise ordinary coin into something special and valuable. Now, you've been patiently waiting for it, and here it is, the big reveal. After all, this is why you clicked on this video in the first place. What's the value of a 1992p half-dollar in exceptional condition? If you happen to find a 1992p half-dollar in uncirculated condition or with a rare minting error, it could easily be worth $30,000. That's right, $30,000 for a coin that you might just overlook in your change. It's a true reminder of how much hidden treasure is out there, just waiting to be discovered. So, if you have a 1992p Kennedy half-dollar sitting around in your collection, or perhaps buried in a coin jar, now's the time to take a second look. You never know, what might seem like a common coin to most people could end up being a small fortune in your hands. Last unique coin, we're diving into the world of the 2000p United States half-dollar coin, an often overlooked piece of American history that might just be sitting in your collection or your pocket change, waiting for you to discover its true value. The year 2000 was an eventful one in the United States. The nation was preparing for the new millennium, a time when people looked toward the future with hope and excitement. And what better way to celebrate the beginning of a new era than with a fresh batch of coins, struck with a perfect blend of tradition and modernity. The 2000p half dollar is part of the Kennedy half dollar series, which has been in circulation since 1964. The design of this coin is instantly recognizable. On the obverse, we have the familiar profile of President John F. Kennedy, captured in all his grace and wisdom. This iconic portrait, created by Gilroy Roberts, has become a symbol of the hope and promise that Kennedy represented for the American people. On the reverse of the coin, we see the emblem of the presidential seal, featuring an eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch. The eagle represents power and strength, while the olive branch is a symbol of peace. This design, which has been in use since the inception of the Kennedy half dollar, reflects the ideals and principles that the United States holds dear. At first glance, the 2000p half dollar may seem like just another regular coin, but there's more to this piece of currency than meets the eye. While most of these coins were produced in large quantities and circulated widely, the true value of the 2000p half dollar lies in its condition and rarity. Most of the 2000p half dollars that are out there have been spent in everyday transactions, meaning they've been subject to wear and tear. These coins are often worn down, scratched, or tarnished, which diminishes their value significantly. However, what makes the 2000p half dollar so special for collectors is the small number of coins that have been preserved in mint condition, free from the usual signs of circulation. For any coin collector, the condition of the coin is key to its value. Coins are graded based on their quality, ranging from poor condition to mint state. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin can be. For a 2000p half dollar, a mint state coin, one that has never been in circulation and remains in pristine condition, can fetch much more than a coin that has been circulated and worn out over time. But what about rarity? Well, even though the 2000p half dollar was minted in fairly large numbers, the ones that have remained in perfect condition are relatively few and far between. This means that collectors are always on the lookout for a 2000p half dollar that has been well preserved or that might even have a unique feature that sets it apart from the rest. Speaking of unique features, it's worth noting that sometimes minting errors can add significant value to a coin. If you happen to come across a 2000p half dollar with an error, such as a double die or misstrike, then you could be sitting on a true treasure. Minting errors are highly sought after by collectors, and the more unusual or rare the error, the higher the potential value. Coins like these can be hard to spot unless you know what to look for, but don't worry, we're here to guide you through it. If you happen to have a 2000p half dollar, take a closer look. Does it have any unusual markings or features? Does it look like it has been carefully preserved over the years? If so, it could be worth a lot more than you think. Now, you're probably wondering, just how much could a 2000p half dollar be worth if you do find one in exceptional condition, or with a rare error? Well, the value might surprise you. A 2000p half dollar in mint state condition can easily be worth $18,000. That's right, $18,000 for a half dollar coin that most people would pass over without a second thought. It's incredible to think that something as simple as a coin can hold such immense value, but that's what makes coin collecting so exciting. There's always the possibility that you're holding onto a hidden gem. The next time you're sifting through your spare change or going through an old coin collection, take a moment to check for a 2000p half dollar. If it looks pristine or you think it might have a rare feature, get it graded by a professional. It might just turn out to be one of the best discoveries you've made. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another exciting coin adventure. We've got plenty more stories and discoveries to share, and we wouldn't want you to miss out. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes, the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight. Keep collecting, and keep discovering.